Nazi, come here. Cell Squad is something. Don't look off the dance, man. Yo, you want something? Yeah, man. Cell Squad is. Yeah, man. Don't lock it off. Don't tell her. Guess what, Squad? Go buy a peanut from the peanut man. When him a go through in the dance, in a inbox him have everything you want. Herbs by the bud and by the stock. I like the top shell and them a shell down the bar. Watch it, mind you step on them clock.
Welcome to True Island History Channel. This is part 2 of history of Kingston. Kingston plays a central role in Jamaica's economy. The vast majority of economic activity takes place within Kingston. And as most government ministries are located in the city, it is a key force in legislation in regards to Jamaica's finances. The higher population density of the capital city means that the majority of monetary transactions occur in Kingston, stimulating much of Jamaica's local economy. The city is also home to the highest number of schools, hospitals, and universities anywhere in Jamaica. Kingston is also the island's main transportation hub and has the largest seaport. Many multinational conglomerates and financial institutions are headquartered in and around the Kingston metropolitan area. Air Jamaica was headquartered in Kingston. The idea of making Jamaica an international finance center has also been proposed as a way to boost the city's financial sector and create more jobs, especially for professionals such as accountants and lawyers. The city's major industries include tourism, apparel manufacturing, and shipping. Many international exports are traded through the city's seaport, with major export including 1. Bauxite, 2. Sugar, and 3. Coffee. The city is also a major tourist destination, and tourism is one of the city's largest sources of economic activity. The city has suffered economic troubles recently. However, along with the rest of the country of Jamaica, plans to help the city's economy have made downtown Kingston the subject of numerous redevelopment plans. There also have been attempts to grow the manufacturing industry in the area and attract call centers to the city. Kingston is surrounded by Blue Mountains, Red Hills, Long Mountain, and Kingston Harbour. The city is on the Ligoni Plain, an alluvial plain alongside the Hope River. Kingston experiences frequent earthquakes, including the 1907 earthquake. Kingston has a tropical climate, specifically a tropical wet and dry climate that borders on a hot semi-arid climate characterized by a wet season from May to November, which coincides with the hurricane season, and a dry season from December to April. During the dry season, there's not much rainfall. However, cold and stationary fronts occur at this time and often bring heavy showers, especially in March. Kingston is the rain shadow of the Blue Mountains. Therefore, little to none of the moisture carried by the northeast trade winds falls over Kingston, causing Kingston to be very dry in comparison to Portland and St. Mary on the windward side of the Blue Mountains. Kingston is on a coastal location, hence it comes under influence of the sea, though dense urban development can negate this effect. In the 21st century, Kingston has experienced temperatures as high as 38.8 centigrade, 102 degrees Fahrenheit, and as low as 13.4 degrees centigrade, 56 degrees Fahrenheit. Between 1895 and 1990, the total average rainfall was recorded at 813 millimeters, 32 inches, in the highest monthly average rainfall recorded in October at 177 millimeters and 7, or equivalent to 7.0 inches, and the lowest monthly average rainfall recorded in March at 18 millimeters or 0.171 or 0.71 inches. Fog, hail, thunder, and tornadoes are extremely rare in Kingston. Now, housing. In 1848, the Jamaican government expanded Kingston by constructing new homes in the west, north, and east of the city. The housing became highly segregated in terms of race and class, and by 1860, the majority of white elites lived on the outskirts of the city. Now, as the population in Kingston grew, existing settlements became so densely occupied that marshes in the southwest were filled in to allow the development of new housing. By 1935, continued population growth and poverty resulted in the emergence of slums in the east and the west of the city. Later, these areas were demolished by the government and residents were rehoused in Denham Town. This development accommodated over 3,000 people, leaving more than one-sixth displaced residents homeless. Consequently, overcrowding persisted through the city and cramped living conditions resulted in, inevitably, public health issues. Suburbanization also became a significant, and by 1960, this residential area spread to the foothills of Blue Mountains. Subsequently, the lack of space and continued consumerism meant this area then expanded to the east of the mountains. In Kingston, 20% of the population now lived in a squatter settlement, sadly. Contrastingly, Kingston is also home to Red Hills, Norbrook, Cherry Gardens, Stony Hill, Jacks Hill, suburbs that hold some of the most expensive houses in all of Jamaica, and yet still, majority of the population lives in squalor. The City of Jamaica is home to a number of urban parks which are frequently transformed to accommodate various events and festivities on the Jamaican calendar. The most popular parks include Emancipation Park, Hope Gardens, Devon House, National Heroes Park, St. William Grant Park, and the famous Mandela Park. The Ligani Club, a recreational and social club for the upper class in society located on Nuts Road Boulevard, owned over 35 acres of land, including the former Ligani Park, now the site of the Emancipation Park. The club gave the land measuring 7 acres as a gift to the Jamaican government. Several government members argued that the land should be converted into a business district, while others felt a multifunctional entertainment complex should be built on the site instead. The large financial input needed for either venture was not forthcoming. Cabinet granted approval for the transfer of the land to the National Housing Trust on condition that a park was built and maintained at that location. The land was then transferred for $1 Jamaican dollar. The park is well known for the 11 feet, approximately 3 meters high bronze sculpture done by Jamaican artist Laura Facey, situated at the park's main entrance, and I'm sure you will not miss it because it's kind of promiscuous, to say the least. The prominent sculpture comprises of 2 naked black male and female statues gazing to the skies, symbolic of their triumphant rise from the horrors of slavery. The statue was unveiled in July 2003 in time for the park's first anniversary, which caused an outcry from the Jamaican populace who believed that the blatant nudity and generous bodily proportions of the figures were very inappropriate to depict the freedom of black people. Well, it wasn't, if you ask me. Slaves dressed nakedly for the most part. It's a direct and proper representative of our fight for freedom. Hope Gardens, the Royal Botanical Gardens of Hope, popularly called Hope Gardens, serves as a national attraction. The Hope Gardens is a part of the 2,000 acres of land, making it the largest botanical garden in the English-speaking Caribbean. The land situated by foothills of the Blue Mountains was originally owned by Major Richard Hope, from whom it got its name. 200 acres of this land was obtained by the government of Jamaica in 1880 and was originally established as a plant introduction and crop testing facilities for plants such as pineapple, cocoa, coffee, and tobacco. The former botanical gardens were laid out on approximately 60 acres of this land, with the assistance of personnel from Kew Gardens in England. In the 1950s, the Queen, after visiting the island, and being pleased with the state of the gardens gave permission for it to be called the Royal Botanical Gardens. Hope. The gardens have many exotic species along with some endemic trees of Jamaica. Now, over the years, the ravages of hurricanes and other disasters have resulted in the loss of significant number of species. There are still some prominent trees and popular sites to be viewed in the garden still. At Hope Gardens, visitors can view a number of other features including the Coconut Museum, the Sunken Gardens, the Orchid House, the Lily Pond, the Maze, and Palm Avenue. The Hope has an adjoining zoo referred to as Hope Gardens Zoo. The gardens and zoo are undergoing redevelopment to improve the physical landscape and the animal inventory as a part of Bring Back the Hope campaign. Now, let's talk about road and buses. The St. William Grand Park Parade in the heart of downtown Kingston is the starting point for 3 of Jamaica's 4 A roads, namely A1, which is Kingston to Lucy, the A3, Kingston to St. Anne's Bay, and the A4, which is Kingston to Anato Bay. While the city itself is provided with a dense network of trunk, main, secondary, and minor roads, it also consists of Highway 2000, Jamaica, which runs through Portmore, Ocherous, and Mandeville. A new section of Highway 2000 called T3 was recently opened to the public. It has greatly reduced travel time between Kingston and Montego Bay from 4 hours to a mere 2.5 hours. Kingston is served well by a modern bus system, minibuses and taxis which operate throughout the city with major hubs at Parade, Crossroads, Halfway Tree, and elsewhere. In June 1898, the existing mule car services was phased out and transitioned to electric jams, initially operated by the West India Electric Company and later by Jamaica Public Service Company, was undertaken. This transition to electricity tram was completed on 31st of March 1899. This continued to operate, but the flexibility of a tram service could not keep pace with a growing city, and tram service ceased to operate on August 7, 1948. Between 1948 and 1953, a motorbus service was operated by a company called Jamaica Utilities. The government then revoked its franchise in 1953. From 1953, though, to 1983, the Jamaica Omnibus Service operated a service which at its peak consisted of over 600 buses and served an area spanning Spanish Town, Border, Mount James, Bull Bay, Port Royal. It was wound by the government in 1983 after nationalized in 1974. Kingston is served well by a modern bus system, the Jamaican Urban Transit Company, JUTC, minibuses and taxis which operate throughout the city with major hubs at Parade, Crossroads, Halfway Tree, and elsewhere. Historically, the Kingston waterfront was Jamaica's main port, with many finger piers at which freighters and passengers liners could dock. More recently, though, with the containerization of freight, the port has moved to Newport West. Now, we have come to the end of part 2. Please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video, and please share it. Press that notification bell. You have a wonderful day. Until our next video, which is part 3.
Nazi, come here. Cell Squad is something. Don't look off the dance, man. Yo, you want something? Yeah, man. Cell Squad is. Yeah, man. Don't lock it off. Don't tell her. Guess what, Squad? Go buy a peanut from the peanut man. When him a go through in the dance, in a box him have everything you want. Herbs by the bud and by the stock. I like the top shell and them a shell down the bar. Watch it, mind, you step on them clock.